Welcome to the experience of the Triple T Josie Gray Show, where truth and transparency in life's challenges bring help, hope, and healing.
Listen now as Josie tells the truth about personal growth and spirituality, relationships, health, and finances.
Tell the truth, Josie. Well, thank you so much again for that grand introduction. As they said, I am Josie Gray, and this is the Triple T Josie Gray Show. Last week, we talked about how to overcome. And in response to questions we received regarding previous episodes, today in episode 004, let's address something that's paramount and actually critical to overcoming, which was our topic last week. And that will be make a decision and stick with it. So here's today's topic. Are you ready? Awesome. Today's topic is shoulder wars. That's right. You heard it right. Shoulder wars. Meaning make a decision and stick with it. Now I'm going to explain what shoulder wars mean in just a little bit. So you got to stick with me to get the purpose and the meaning of that. Let's begin. First thing I want to talk about today is when it comes to making a decision, fear of making the right or the wrong decision. Is this what's best for me? Is this what's going to promote and propel me into where I want to go? Basically, that fear comes from within, where you know how we want to control everything. Can anybody attest to that? Many times we feel like we should be able to keep a handle on life and what's going on in our lives. And when we can't do that, we end up becoming afraid. That's where that fear grips us. Fear, someone said, is false evidence appearing real. That's those things that we think about in our mind, we project in our mind, we assume in our mind, we play out in our mind that don't even exist. And what happens is, when it comes to making a decision and sticking with a decision, it can make us, number two, kind of look like we're schizophrenic. Here's what I mean. Here's an actual personal example. Recently, I was dealing with some things going on, in my life. We're all going through certain circumstances and situations. And one minute, I would say, this is what I'm going to do. Then I think about it. Then the next minute, no, this is what I'm going to do. Then I think about it again. And I just kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you get the point. It becomes tiring. And it gets to a point where you're not progressing. You're at a standstill. And how many of us really want our lives to be in a standstill? No one, right? We want to progress. We want to move forward. No one wants to be in a situation where you think in yourself, oh my God, I feel like I'm going crazy because my mind is playing tricks on me. 1 minute is this, 1 minute is that. We can't do that. I don't know about you. Let me put it like this. I can't do that. So I had to come to a conclusion that I have to make a decision. And when you make that decision, number three is hold yourself accountable. Now, we've all heard about accountability partners, right? So it's like, well, girl, I need somebody to hold me accountable to exercising. And, well, honey, I need somebody to hold me accountable that I don't eat these sweets. Or I need somebody to hold me accountable that I do blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Many times we forget that who we set as our accountability partners are people who also go through things. So what happens to you and your goal and what you're trying to accomplish when your accountability partner kind of falls off the map doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't mean that you're not important to them. It just simply means they are a person. They're human too. And what happens to you and what you're trying to do when you cannot count on that accountability partner? Same thing goes for them. Many times when we say, yeah, girl, I'll be there for you. If you need me, blah, 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 I'll be there. And then life happens. So here's the point. When you make a decision, you have to hold yourself accountable to holding yourself accountable. Because if you can't stand your own ground on your own 2 feet, you'll find you won't be able to accomplish what you set out as far as that goal is concerned or that decision is concerned. Because many times, let's just think about it. When you're at home at night, when you're laying on your bed or you're in your rocking chair or wherever you sit in that favorite place at home or in your office, no one's there but you. You don't always feel like picking up the phone, or better yet, you don't always feel like answering the phone when someone does call. What happens when you're in that moment where it's just you, your mind, and that thing in front of you that's staring you right smack dab in your face? What do you do when no one else is there, no one else is there for you to talk to, and there's no one else's voice in your ears but you yourself in that situation saying, what are you going to do about me? So that being said, you have to remember to hold yourself accountable. Number 4, we talked about voices just a few minutes ago, right? A few seconds ago. You have to remember when you make a decision, if you're the type of person where, you like to talk to this girlfriend, or you like to talk to that dude, that man, that guy friend, that mentor, or the person that, you feel like is like your ace boon coon, as we call them, our ride or die, that friend is going to always be there. What happens when you have so many voices in your head? You got so many people talking to you, so many, the Bible, there's a scripture, I think, in the Bible that talks about you can find safety in a multitude of counsel. But the challenge comes in when we get a multitude of counsel from people who are not necessarily wise, or people who are not necessarily experienced in what we're going through, or people who are more so, what's a nice way I can put this without any chase? Let me just say it. People who are not as intellectually sound in their choices and in their decision making as we need them to be. That's what causes a problem. We're putting the weight of our lives in the mouths and the suggestions and the advice and the counsel of others. Now, do not mistake what I'm saying to you. Like I said, there's a scripture that talks about there's safety in the multitude of counsel. But the challenge is, what are the grounds, or what do you define as counsel? So listen to this. What happens is when we start to allow all those different voices in our heads and all those different voices in our ears, they become voices in our heads. And then you have wars going on in there. Now, let me get back to why we named this Shoulder Wars. On one side, you have your beautiful little angel on your right shoulder. Just imagine this with me for a minute. On the left side, you have that little devil, we call him the little devil or the little demon with the pitchfork and the forked tail and the forked tongue and the horns, right? Basically, your good conscience, your godly conscience, and your not so godly conscience, right? So what happens is you have the good in the right ear, the not good, the unwise in the left ear, the angel and the devil, or God and the devil, however you want to put it. And there's a war going on. Many times we set ourselves up for these wars because we seek so much information from so many people and so much advice, and then we wonder why there's a major catastrophe in our brains and in our thoughts because we've allowed these things in. So I want to encourage you. This is what I'm having to do still, and have learned to do, but still learning because I'm still growing. To stop always looking for counsel in other people. You will find that every time you come up with a problem or come up against a problem, you are so designed that the answer to your problem is already within you. Let's be honest. Most of the times, we don't like to make that answer or make that choice or accept that answer, or however you want to put it, we don't want to choose that answer. Let's just be real. Can anybody raise your hand? I can. Here's the reason why. Number 5, we have to understand and acknowledge that the greater percentage of times when we make a choice, those decisions hurt. Yeah, they hurt. They can be painful. And here's what happens. Whether it's an engagement and we're trying to decide whether or not we want to get engaged, or whether that's the right person, or whether it's a marriage, we're trying to decide whether we want to stay in the marriage or not. We're trying to decide, oh my God, what was I thinking way back then when I got married to this person, whatever. Or let's go a little bit farther. Now we're in the marriage, we're past the engagement, we're in the marriage, and now we're thinking, oh my God, which planet was I on when I got married? So now you're contemplating divorce. Here's what happens when you don't make a decision. Let's back up a little bit. First of all, remember I said decisions and choices hurt? You can look at that one of two ways. If you're in if you're in a relationship, let's just put it like that. If you're in a relationship, whether it's an engagement, whether it's a marriage, or whether you're about to get a divorce, or it could be a business relationship, or it could be just a friendship, whatever. This is just one example, of course. Whatever the situation is in this particular relationship in your life, in this example, it does not matter what's going on with the type of relationship it is. What matters is what's happening to you in that relationship. What's happening to that other person in that relationship? Here's what I mean. If you're in like I said, any type of relationship, and all you do is disputing, all you're doing is arguing, all you're doing is hurting the other one. God forbid if someone's raised their hand to the other one and someone's being abused. Let's just say it's not hand. It could be verbally. you're getting abused, or there's always friction. There's always something that's challenging. Life doesn't even flow anymore. The relationship doesn't even flow. You can't grow if the relationship won't flow, right? Absolutely. So let's just say that you're in whatever type of relationship that is, and you're stunted. Your growth is stunted. Their growth is stunted. What do? Who's going to be the adult? Who's going to make the choice and the decision to say, okay, you know what? We're not coming to a mutual ground here. We need to talk. We need to make a decision. And once we talk, then what are we going to do? And I'll say, let me just put a disclaimer here. I am not a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist. So technically, I can't give legal advice. I'm just talking to you from Josie. So if you know you're in a relationship, and you know without a shadow of a doubt, you don't have to talk to anybody about it. You don't have to guess about it. You don't have to wonder. You know that thing is keeping you up at night. You know you're not sleeping at night. You know your appetite is off. You're having those stomach things going on where your stomach's churning. You're nauseated. Every time you just think about it, you're stressed. That's a sign. I'm just talking to you from experience. Okay, we know Josie's going to tell the truth. This is Josie talking. I'm talking to you from experience. And you know that that's a situation where it's not helping either one of you. When do you make the decision and make the choice to stop listening to each side that's on your shoulder and make the decision that says, you know what? I have to do what's best for me. And sometimes you have to make the decision for someone else too. Here's the reason why. You'll stay in there and you're going around and around and around the same circle and around and up and down the same mountain. What happens is your life is delayed. Their life is delayed. Both of you or all of you are impacted and affected negatively. So here's what happens, and we're just about over with this. I want you to kind of begin to shift your thinking concerning making a choice from the painful side of it to the potential positive side of it. Here's an example. You know, our kids grow up, we have kids and we love them, we want to keep them with us forever, and then there are times we do want to kick them out of the house, but nevertheless, the child is getting ready to go off to college. This is just a simple example. And it's painful, me being, again, an experienced parent, watching that child go off to college. You have the fear, God, I hope this doesn't happen. You know, if it's a daughter, I hope she doesn't get pregnant. Or God forbid, I hope she's not taken advantage of. Or, you know, I hope she makes the right choice. The same thing with the son. I hope he doesn't get someone pregnant. Or I hope they don't get into drugs, or etc. So many other things. God protect my child on the highways. I can always easily look at the negative side of that child having to leave my house and the potentials of what can happen to that child, the negative potentials. Or I can choose to look at the positive side. My child has grown up now. I'm so proud. They're taking a leap of faith and going into the next level of promotion in their life. And so what happens is I can look at that and say, wow, I can look at the positive side. You know, I can look at, they're going to make great friends. They're going to do excellent in their grades. They're going to do excellent in the things that they're going to accomplish. This child has made a decision to go and tackle life. Now let's bring this back to the relationships, and we're going to end. When it comes to the relationship, if you begin to just make the decision, you got to realize it might not necessarily be the right decision, and you may not find it out until later. But you can hold your head up in the fact that you finally made a decision and you stuck with it. That is something you can be proud of. That is something that you can lift your head up about. At least I made a decision. I stopped delaying my life, and I stopped delaying the life of someone else that's connected to me. This is Joe. We're running out of time. Again, thank you so much for watching the Triple T Josie Gray Show. You'll see that there is the contact information on the bottom of the screen. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you stay connected. And you know what? Spread the word. Share this with someone else. If you feel like it's going to impact their lives, share. Don't be greedy. Don't be selfish. Share. Tell others about it. This is Joe. We look forward to you being with us next week. Stay tuned. Have a great one.